So I just really wanted to think out loud a little bit. Sorry, that spragged me now because we've just been doing maths with chocolate coins, me and the kids, and I've nabbed a couple for myself. They've ran off to eat them. The joys of home education at Christmas time, when you can incorporate chocolate into learning. So back to what I was saying. This one's probably more for the people who are currently home educating or homeschooling. I don't know if it's just me, but I have noticed on a lot of the social media forum sites at the moment that probably in the last kind of 6 or 8 weeks, there have been so many new members who have come on and introduced themselves and said that they've deregistered their children from school. And while it's obviously a really positive thing for homeschooling and home education because it grows the community and it makes it much more accepted, it gets the message out there that homeschooling and home education is just as much of an educational choice as it is sending children to school, rah-de-rah-de-rah. So while it's really positive in that sense, it does make me wonder what's going on in schools and school system now that is seeming to make people in their hordes just be kind of rushing to deregister their children from that setting. Another thing that worries me and saddens me a bit is, what about those children who are left within that setting, who are left within that system because maybe even though their parents would love to homeschool or love to home educate, for whatever reason, it's just not able to work right now for their families. You know, what's being done about those children? And so obviously, because neither of my children have ever been to school, they've never been to a nursery or a preschool or anything like that, so I've never dealt with kind of teachers or the education board or anything on that level. And I do always like to it intrigues me to know how things work in that setting, because obviously with home education there are, so many people who, campaign for the rights of home educated people. When the government want to make changes, they'll, sign petitions. At one of our local clubs that we go to, there was a lady last time that they were wanting to reform that was for our district, doing a petition against that, and many of us took part in that. We're really proactive with creating opportunities for children and, facilitating learning opportunities for children and things like that. But within a school setting, I'd be really interested to hear if you like homeschool or home educate children, but you have children at school, or if you already have children at school and you're thinking of home educating and you've kind of come across this video. I'd be really interested to know how welcoming the schools are on feedback and what they do about it, what's happening, who's campaigning for these changes. Are there parent groups at schools that, I know there's a PTA, but in my day that was more geared towards what was kind of best for the school rather than what was best for the children. And the reason why I think this is really relevant is because this week especially, I've had quite a few negative comments left on my post about home education, homeschooling. And a lot of people point out the fact that, it's not regulated, so therefore, what if the children are missing out on education? What if they're missing out on opportunities? What if they're not getting a good standard of care and education provided? And it seems that it's a bit of a go-to kind of attack mode for anybody who home educates. People, leave comments and sometimes are quite sort of open vocally about it to your face. But then does the question ever get asked about, well, hang on a minute, if you send your children to school, who's looking out for them? Who's looking out for these children who are in this system that is apparently so broken that parents in their hordes are now deregistering their children from school? So I say I always like to sort of look at both sides of the coin. I've said before, I'm not anti-school. I believe that if a school setting is right for your children, then that's absolutely where they should be. I'm not against my children going to school if they got a little bit older and they decided that it was something they wanted to try, which is why I like to keep up to date, like with what's happening and what the kind of rules are, if you like, what goes on when you enroll your children into school, because that's something that I've never done. So yeah, just feel free, anything on this really, just drop a comment.